Welcome to Tours of TV, and I just want to talk. And normally, I would be setting up for tomorrow's shoot on an episode, and just the events of the weekend, well, today, have really driven home some things that I want to talk about. Normally, there would be jokes and music underneath, and Winston, judging you setting a death trap and stuff like that. But this is a topic that is really serious to the point where I just wanted to get it out. I'm not even I'm using a webcam instead of any number of other cameras that would do a better job, but I can't make any jokes. I don't have it in me to do big cuts or throw some humor, because this is a serious topic. I have friends that are dealing with a wide variety of things. Some of my friends deal with depression. Some of my friends deal with physical disabilities akin to my own, which is cerebral palsy. Some of my friends have hyper flexible joints, which sounds really cool until you realize that they move wrong. The thing dislocates or comes damn close to it. I have other friends that are getting older and really feeling it. I have friends that can no longer participate because of their back or their wrists or the knees or any number of things. And a lot of us have had a tough time coming back from the pandemic. You go from practicing all the time to trying to survive, and it gets really difficult. You can't just pick up where you left off. I'm reminded of a practice I went to on the first of the year, a couple hours south of me, and I ran into an old friend who is, a student of one of my students. You know how that legacy thing comes along, and I was so happy to see him. And he was amazing when last we met. He could hit me from very far away without even blinking, and he was always a challenge. Still is, by the way. He's not dead. But he too, with his phenomenal physical ability and eye, is rebuilding. And I want to share some insight on what actually counts as good and excellence. And for the first part, getting up, putting on your gear, picking up your sword, and going out and fencing. That's one. Or whatever combat sport you do or martial art you do. Running through the kata. Every time you pick something up, you are better than you were before. And, you do this with mindfulness. And, it counts. But what do you do when you remember what you could do versus what you can do? And it's not easy to look at yourself in the mirror and go, wow, I put on an extra 20, 40 pounds. In my case, at one point, I put on 40 pounds. And that was really frightening. Yeah, it affected everything I did. I couldn't move right. My balance was off. I was falling a lot more. Yeah, so I'd like to say that I got to work and conquered it all, but, as you've seen on camera, I not 40 pounds beyond where I want to be, but I'm still a long ways off. So this episode is something I haven't been avoiding, but I've been planning and thinking about. I was going to have a big episode, 20, 40 minutes long. This one may end up being long too, but it was going to be a production. I even was going to have help come in and film it so that I didn't have to rush or do anything like that. But it's about adaptation and some of the truths that I came across. And to be frank with you, the grandfatherly kindness of my teacher reaching out and grabbing hold today, in fact. My teacher was really good at being direct. This is this, to quote the deer hunter. This is this. This is nothing else. This is this. He never said that, but he might as well have. He once said, you're past your prime. You're never going to be stronger, faster, smarter. You're on the other side of that now. And I went, yeah, old man, I got this. And I watched him. I mean, he was, machine. He was doing repetitions of Jingyi strikes, Beng Chuan, Pi Chuan, stuff like that, over and over and over again. And they all, the fist always went into the same place. The split always happened in the same place. He was fully relaxed until the point of impact, and it was just, what are you gonna do? And he did it over and over and over and over and over again, to the point where you could see a groove in the polish of the floor, where his steps were. I don't even know if it's the same day that where he said it. I was watching this, but they've conflated it in my head as being the same time. He also said to me, get good at moving or get good at standing still. And I said, well, what about both? Not out loud, because you don't do that. And I thought about it. The elements of standing still, very important. Elements of moving, very, very important. And over the years, I've had to manage my expectations on both. Rooting was never my strong point. CP doesn't take it away from you, but you've got a very interesting root there. R-O-U-T, not R-O-O-T. And so I started adapting. Well, I mean, I've always adapted, but, I started really looking at adaptation and, how can I make this work and so on and so forth. And over the years, I got good at doing that. But then the pandemic hit and nobody was good at anything anymore, to be frank with you. And, there were people that were still practicing and, pushing everybody else to practice. But, the truth is that's kind of rude. Everybody's worried about whether or not they're going to die. A lot of people did die. And maybe for some people it was a refuge to have somebody in their apartment going, okay, we're going to do 100 lunges, ready, and go. But hey, if it worked for you, it worked. It didn't work for me. I just kind of felt like the whole thing was a mess. And so, the pandemic is pretty much over, in a sense. I mean, COVID is still dangerous, still out there. We still have to worry about it. We still have to be careful. We still have to be cautious. We still have to see things coming and protect ourselves in a very intelligent way. And then I did the work of, quote unquote, putting it all back together. And I've come to understand something really important. The fighter I was is gone. off into the sunset. Happy trails. And I can't do half of the things that that fighter could do. And I'm okay with that. Because now, because of mindfulness and practice and thought and listening to my body, I can do things that that fighter only dreamed of doing. And that's really important. One thing the martial arts never does is address getting older. You know, oh, it's a young man's game, you know, and you know, your strike is your strike, and you know, you've got to have power and all this stuff. You know, but when you're sparring with somebody, how do you stop them? Hit them harder, hit them with precision, you know, deflect, evade, you know, what do you do? Somebody's 18 years old and deciding that you're the target du jour. What are you going to do? I know a lot of people that what they do is they forget the fact that they're older and they go for it the way they would when they were 18. And that rarely goes well. I watched numerous people throw themselves up against the wall of what they were without acknowledging that they're a different person now. And then I've seen the occasional genius who's like, oh, 18. Nice. Faster, stronger. Great. Let's see how smart you are. And then they proceed. Now, if this was a movie, that would work every time. You know, and they'd be like, oh, wisdom and age triumphs. Doesn't always work that way. Here we are. Adaptation. How lucky are you? You're here, you have the wisdom, you have the experience, you can adapt. You can find your way. And no, you're not doomed to just be a teacher or to impart wisdom on people or anything like that. You can, in fact, compete. You got to listen to your body. And by the way, this goes for people that are just starting too. In fact, you should start with this so that later you're ready for what's coming, because it is coming. We all age. We all grow old. We all lose things. And we have to cultivate the things that we gain. That's just the nature of aging. So you listen to your body. You know, maybe you can't do a 6 or 8 foot lunge. Maybe you can do 2 or 4 feet. But do the best 2 foot, 4 foot lunge you can do. And I'll guarantee you, if you're mindful about it, your 4 foot lunge will be better, more precise, better timed than someone who can just do an 8 foot lunge or do a 6 foot lunge or whatnot. Because the people that can just do it are just that, just doing it. They don't have to work for it. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to go, oh, you know, if I do this wrong, my kneecap is going to go the wrong way. They don't have to worry about pulling a muscle. You know, they don't, any number of things they don't have to worry about. Now, that's not to say that someone who is young and strong can't pull a muscle or injure themselves. They can, and they often do, which should tell you something. But maybe your lunge is just a step. So put the foot in the right place to make it really work. When my lunge got limited, I started stepping around things, taking lessons from my teacher with what's called a clow and a bai step. That's from Kung Fu. Clow turns out, bai turns in. So if you step and you turn your foot in and let your hips sink on that foot, you get a rotation and a hip. You just have to time it right. A by step, well, that takes you into a different line. And then a clow and a by. You can do all sorts of little combinations. And sometimes it's around a space about yay big. Now imagine, if you will, sword coming at you, weapon coming at, fist, kick, whatnot, and you just go and you go around it. That's an adaptation. That's working with what you have versus mourning, grieving what you think you've lost. And that's why earlier I said, the fighter I was is gone, but the fighter I am can do things that fighter only dreamed of. Slipping a shot like that is something that I'm pretty confident with these days. And, I still have my little lunge, and I still have that face shot from my little lunge. I still have my balance because I know where to put my hip, things like that. So all is not lost. And I'll tell you a little story from 20 years ago. A friend of mine used to record us fighting. Hey. And I used to watch these tapes, but I'd have to kind of hide. Oh my God, I have to hide, because one point I caught myself saying this, oh my God, who the hell is that? I could so kick my own ass because I could see everything that I was doing wrong. Never forgot that. So you adapt. And sure, maybe you're not the loud, flashy, brash fighter you were. Nobody's going, hey, look at me. But you can be steady. And when I talk about adaptation, and the mission of this channel is to show everybody you, yes, you can fence. Wheelchair, low mobility, tight legs, different thinking, stimuli issues, all of that stuff. You can fence, provided you do the work to figure out your adaptation. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret about this that's actually really, really important. Patience. It's slow. It doesn't feel good always. Nobody likes getting hit all the time. But the more you get hit, the more you learn. That's a really big deal. Put in the work now to have it pay off later is one way to look at it. And there's another secret that is really, really important. In addition to patience, aka cutting yourself a break, is enjoying what you're doing, which meshes with patience. If you're in a hurry to get to, your shodan or your award of merit, your certificate of whatever, and so on and so forth, if you're in a hurry for that, you're going to shortchange yourself. And I'll tell you one universal truth. If you do the work, you will get there. If you put in the floor time, you'll get there. If you put in the considerate mindfulness, you will get there. Time and time again, I've seen people choke in that last stage where they think they've arrived somewhere, and they know. I'm like a Taikai away or an event away, from whatever it is. And then it doesn't happen. And they fall apart, slowly unravel, or rapidly unravel in some cases, spectacularly unravel. The only thing in this process that's up to you is the work that you do. Now, I'll tell you something. The difference between an accomplished fighter and an unaccomplished fighter is often the work and the ability to go, oh, I just threw my best at that guy, and they went, is that it, old man? Well, make sure it's not it. Make sure you got something else. Be mindful in your practice, but for God's sakes, enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to get anywhere. Or you will get somewhere, and then when you get to wherever it is, you'll find that your tank is half full, 3/4 full, 1/8 full, empty. To enjoy what you do will help you hold on to the patience you need to achieve your goals. And, I make jokes about, I don't like barrel work or stance work or anything like that. That's partially true because it's uncomfortable. But what I really like is what it gives me. So, these are the important things that we all have to deal with. Because someday, oh viewer, you're not going to be able to do what you can do today. And you can change, adapt, quit. I would hate to see you quit. I would. I mean, this whole channel exists so people don't have to quit. So they don't have to live with this idea, megalithic idea of what fighting is and what fencing is and all this stuff. If you come away with anything from this video, I mean, this is ponderous and long, but if you come away with anything, I want you to be invigorated and know that if you're struggling, it's natural. If you feel like you can't do it anymore, that's natural too. But you can. You just have to figure out how you're going to do it and how you can use that to your advantage. Revel in the idea that you can find a way. So that's today's very serious, no joking episode of Terza TV. Sorry that it's late. I was out of town. But if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave a comment. The community itself is growing slowly, which is fine. And if you got a question, we can find you an answer. All right. You guys have a good day, and I'll see you in the list.